Hello and good evening welcome to Alex McCarthy's Wrestling Daily. Here we are on Thursdays, and you know what that means. It means I'm being flanked by Steph Chase, the hot take queen herself, fresh off the Wednesday Night Wars. Steph, I know you've just told me you had an eventful night. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Alex. A little bit tired, but I'm very good.
So thank you so much for joining us, guys. You know, back again for the post Wednesday Night Wars episode, and we know that we love having your Ultra Chats, and especially when Steph is on. Steph being the box office Ultra Chat draw that she is, get them into WrestleTalk.com/Wrestle2, and you guys can have your stuff read out on this show, and Steph will debate and talk about whatever you want to talk about. And I can see we've already got some in the chamber. So guys, make sure you get them in. We've got a lot to get through on this episode. I will say while we're here, of course, we are at the home of Wrestle2 on YouTube. Please do subscribe on YouTube to Wrestle2. Do like and follow them on Twitter and get those notifications turned on so you know when these live streams start. There's nothing better than that. But first things first, Steph, let's get it out of the way with the title of the episode today. There was some good news for Cody Rhodes and Brandi Rhodes.
Yes, congratulations to Cody and Brandi. They're expecting a baby. Oh, and what a really cute way to announce it on Dynamite, like they did with that little video with their lovely little puppies as well. It was super cute.
Yeah, they the polar opposite reveal to how John Moxley did it.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder, did they plan the reveal before Moxley surprise revealed his, or yeah, I wonder how that came about. But yeah, I thought it was really cute, and I'm really happy for them. Like the first couple of AEW having a baby, that's wonderful.
I mean, lockdown has just made everyone busy in 2020. That's what I've taken from this. Everyone's like, right, let's just pop out a kid then.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, there's been quite a few wrestling babies and wrestling baby announcements this year for sure.
Yeah, who would have thunk it? Lockdown was the aphrodisiac of 2020. So yeah, it was great news for Cody and Brandi. Like I said on Twitter yesterday, what a couple of years they've had. Do you know what I mean? Like you look back 5 years ago, Cody is like languishing in WWE, which was criminal at the time. I don't think that's even something you retrospectively say. At the time, there was loads of us kind of going, how are they not doing more with Cody Rhodes? You know, he was doing that terrible Stardust gimmick. Brandi Rhodes was a ring announcer in WWE. They're, now look at them. They're power players in the number 2 promotion in the world in AEW. And they're about to open up another addition to their family as well. I say another addition because Pharaoh, of course, would be their firstborn, I assume. But yeah, it's great to see them succeed like that, Steph.
Yeah, it's really lovely. They've done so well, and what a nice way to end the year for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's get into AEW. Let me see if we've got some Ultra Chats that can lead us into some AEW news, because we do have a couple. First, as usual, it's Mr. Bang Brains himself, Matthew McCoskey, and he says, what time to be a wrestling fan? First of all, COVID babies is a thing now, but just all the upcoming matches. TLC this weekend, Hard to Kill, Omega versus Swan. I mean, man, there's going to be a lot of, of course he said it, there's going to be a lot of banging brains in the coming months. Of course, he was talking about with the Young Bucks, the Good Brothers getting involved in that equation as well. Man, it's going to be good. I I spoke about this with SP3, of course, yesterday, but it's now that Steph's on the show, I feel I'd be remiss if we didn't get into this. What do you make of the first steps into the AEW Impact crossover? Because this is the first kind of match that we're getting, and it's exciting as hell.
Yeah, it's a really exciting one. I think it's pretty cool that they're doing this rather than going into some kind of straight, singles match with Kenny and Rich that they seem to have been teasing. Or, so teaming Kenny back with the Good Brothers is very, newsworthy. He even said the words Bullet Club when he was on Impact. So, yeah, they have the history and they have the fan intrigue, and then going up against Rich Swann and Motor City Machine Guns, like that's going to be such a great match. And this is a very good first match for Kenny, and I think it's going to do a lot for Impact show in January.
Yeah, I still have to imagine that the Young Bucks and Motor City Machine Guns is something that they want to happen down the line. I wonder if this will kind of open the doors, because only a month after we've got AEW Revolution, right? So
yeah.
Before you know it, it leads in nicely.
Yeah, and I think that, there's so many dream matches that we could all come up with involving people that aren't Kenny, such as the Young Bucks. But this is just that little opening of the door that we don't know how this is going to spill out in 2021 to lead to other people making the crossover that Kenny has. So, yeah, it's very nice. And things are very exciting. I mean, whatever you might think about Impact and AEW coming together, I think most people now see it as positive, which is good, but it's exciting. It's the most exciting thing happening in wrestling. It's the most exciting thing that's happened in a very long time.
Yeah, without a doubt. I have to say, SB3, co-host of the show, is in the house. He says, hey, everyone, hope you all have a great Thursday. Make sure to check out Chatting with him. I bring that up because I received a gift today that I believe has come from SP3. As soon as I opened it up, I knew it was from him. I won't reveal what it is yet. In fact, I will wear it the next time SP3 and I are on screen.
What?
So I know what a tease. I'm a pro at this stuff. But SP3, yours is on the way. So let's keep going with the AEW train of thought. Matthew McCarthy, thank you very much for opening up the show with that Ultra Chat. Mike Jensen is next in line, and he says, I find it refreshing that Tony Khan is listening to criticism. He heard it from the fans, the issues with the women's division, and while not perfect, he's working on fixing it. Meanwhile, Keith Lee is being buried. Now, one of my bugbears is the way the word buried is used in wrestling in general. He's not being helped, but buried, that might be a bit too strong. I feel like, in terms of Tony Khan, I've said this to Steph on this very show, I'm a huge fan of his whole approach to wrestling. It's very fresh to me. He's very open-minded. He feels like one of us with just a lot of money and a lot of talent. Do you know what I mean? Like, he knows the kind of stuff that we want to see, whereas Vince McMahon is maybe of the other opinion where he thinks he programs you to want what you want. Do you know what I mean? He thinks that he feeds you what you want, rather than Tony Khan, who actually is more in tune with today's fan base. So yeah, I love what Tony Khan's doing. The women's division, Steph, I'm sure you have some thoughts. I feel like they are, they always say, walk before you can run and stuff like that. And I feel like they're just kind of taking some baby steps in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that they are with the women's division, especially with Britt coming back. And I very much liked the little bit we saw of her on Dynamite last night in Thunder Rosa. But as far as Tony Khan, like, he is the fan that's doing things right and that's listening to the fans. And as a little tease, I spoke to the Young Bucks today, and they talked a lot about what it was like to work for Tony Khan and how he is such a big fan. They said that they don't know anyone that's as big a wrestling fan as Tony Khan, or who knows more, and just how great it is to have that relationship with him. And when you look at WWE, they're definitely not listening to their fans at all. And I was reminded today about that time when we had all the McMahons come out in Raw and tell us that they were going to...
2-year anniversary of that.
2-year anniversary that they were going to listen to us. And now 2 years on, Raw has fallen off the biggest cliff ever. And people are switching off in droves. So I don't know at what point they listen to us, but no.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. It's we had the whole thing where McMahon's, Triple H, they're all in there and they're saying they're going to give the fans what they want. They're going to start listening to us. And what really changed? All they've done is try and do these paper-cracked, Raw Undergrounds and 2 out of 3 Falls and Raw Dark and all of this other rubbish. It's just, they haven't actually gone back and addressed what the problem of the show is. They just keep going, well, maybe if we think of something that catches fire, that will solve all of our problems. It's not going to work.
Band-aids and short-term fixes, and you have to look at the people in charge. Obviously, Vince is at the head of that, and then you have Bruce Pritchard under him. And I don't think anything is going to get better with this combo of these two guys, where Vince is just saying something and Bruce is saying yes to whatever it is. And like last week, I spoke to Eric Bischoff, and one thing that I asked him about when he was executive director of SmackDown, if he believes that the job was missold to him. And while he thought that it might be unfair to say missold because it was a new position, he was definitely expecting more autonomy than he ever got. And he was definitely told, this is a new way of doing things, but it ended up just being new people being made to do things the old way. And then, of course, him and Paul Heyman both end up getting replaced by yes man Bruce Pritchard. So
neither of them lasted a year, which is staggering. I've spoken to Eric Bischoff before as well, and he was telling me, so I was pressuring him, kind of saying, so what was the creative? Do you know what I mean? How did it work when you were on SmackDown? He was like, I had no say. He goes, all I was the bridge between the creative team. They then give it to Eric Bischoff. He'd go, then he has to take it to Vince, which then again, so all he really was a messenger. He's meant to be running the show.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, he's more figuring out where, what dates they can hit what arenas and, travel things and all of the admin stuff that you probably don't think about, but falls under their remit as well. And as you say, very telling that Bruce Pritchard is the man that has returned to that spot. Just having a look at that. Did I miss anything from this? What do you think, Steph? Keith Lee being buried?
Yeah, buried is a strong word. Completely misused and misunderstood and mistreated. Yes.
I do think, I've heard from people inside WWE that it's they think that his cardio isn't great in the ring. And, I know Monday, it's not fair to say he missed the spots because Miz was whatever he was doing on the outside with that particular one of Morrison. It's not, you can't just all say it's Keith Lee, and he was doing fine in NXT. So he hasn't become bad or whatever overnight. I feel like his confidence has maybe taken a knock though.
Yeah, it's not surprising. But no. Keith Lee can get over working as Keith Lee, but I don't think that's what they want him to do, up on the main roster. So it's just we've heard this story many times. Just the memes keep changing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Insert Vince McMahon. Anyway, I did want to ask you as well. Did you see the tweet that Medusa, aka Alundra Blaze, sent to Britt Baker?
No.
Okay, so Britt Baker obviously had a tweet saying, totally in character, right? Talking about how she's basically like the Michael Jordan of the women's division, and I think she was moaning about how she hadn't had a figure in AEW yet. So let me actually find.
I saw her talking about that. I did not see Medusa reply.
Yes. So obviously here is the actual tweet. Britt Baker says, imagine being the face of a division, the first woman signed, a role model, Michael Jordan, the baddest bitch on the block, a dentist, and still not have an action figure. Of course, that is Britt Baker in total character there. Medusa says, well, let's see. I believe you just learned how to tie your boots and got handed your position. It is almost 2021 and women's wrestling is fast tracking. I'm sure you will have one soon. However, it took me 20 plus years before I received mine. Some people just earn respect differently. And that caused the likes of Renee Young, or Paquette, and Paige to reply puzzling tweets, not sure why they, confused as to why Medusa was almost coming for Britt Baker and not kind of supporting and empowering her. So I feel it's a it was a strange take for my liking.
Yeah, it's a very strange take. I mean, being a women's wrestler at the time that Medusa was extremely tough, and it's still pretty tough now, and it is still tough, and you have social media and everything now. But Britt, listing her accomplishments and everything, like she was doing an in-character tweet of why she doesn't have a figure. Other women have a figure. Brandi has a figure. Hikaru Shida has a figure, or at least is getting a figure. So I think Medusa, just kind of maybe took it the wrong way and wanted to get something in.
But also, like, just why would you can't like be bitter to someone else and like in the modern day success because it took you a long time. Like, if anything, you should kind of celebrate, how much things have moved forward. I guess don't hold on to that bitterness.
Yeah, and she can big up herself for paving the way for people like Britt Baker without having a go at Britt Baker.
Which she absolutely did for a lot of women. So come on now. CM Chris is here as well, ready to talk AEW, and he says, "Good evening, Alex and Steph." Hey, CM Chris.
Hey.
What a tag team appreciation night it was on Dynamite. The good, the bad, and the hungry has to be the real tag name now. And Tony Schiavone is a legend. Hashtag EGE, Elite Good Eggs. Hashtag much love. Yes. To you as well, CM Chris. To you as well. First of all, Tony Schiavone, as Jericho would say, has been fantastic for me lately, particularly in the skits with Tony Khan. I think
so good.
He really is. I think it's an unsung hero there. Tony Khan is alarmingly natural at those as well.
Yeah, they both have super sassy delivery. I so want to lend them my fan for the next time that they throw some shit at Impact's way. Woo, Tony's. Yeah, Tony Schiavone's missing. I thought he was great in Dynamite when Don Callis tried to join the commentary booth and he didn't like that, and he's still so excited every time Sting comes out. But I was actually talking to my friend about this last night when we were watching Dynamite, about just how passionate Tony seems about the product and how much he seems to love it. And he's a guy from another generation that has decided, instead of saying like, this isn't my wrestling or the wrestling that I know, he's like, whoa, this is what young people are doing and it's great. Like, I love it and I'm happy to be here. And it's just really, his enthusiasm is infectious.
And you talk about tag team wrestling. Of course, there was a fair amount going on last night. SCU and the Acclaimed. We had obviously the main event, which had 1 million people in it with the Inner Circle, we'll get to later. But I actually really like the opener from Hangman Page and the Dark Order, like kind of continuing that interesting little story. And I love John Silver anyway. And then Private Party and Matt Hardy. The finish there was really interesting, Steph, because it obviously did a lot for Hardy, kind of being he's meant to be the mentor, but Private Party did the hard work, and then he kind of tagged in and took the glory. I just felt like it really delivered, and people were like, does Hangman Page need to be losing? But it wasn't really him taking the loss. I felt like things got further along. I liked it. Good action.
Yeah, I first have to talk about the band and the Hangman. When they came out, I saw so many people tweeting, oh my God, they have cowboy hats. And I was thinking, guys, did you not watch Being the Elite this week? One of the best Being the Elites of all time, where John Silver and Alex Reynolds, continuing their attempt to recruit Hangman, had Cowboy Day in honor of Hangman, where they all put on cowboy hats. And the whole Dark Order had like a cowboy party where even 10 was a horse that you could ride. And they had like this great little mock Western shootout. And they all had so much fun that in the end, they forgot to actually ask Hangman to join the Dark Order. They still had their cowboy hats for Dynamite. And this was so great. I'm loving Hangman's involvement in the Dark Order. I think it's great for everyone involved. Really good match. But yeah, Alex Reynolds took the pin. But Matt Hardy was the one that got the 3. And I see what Matt is doing with Private Party. We'll see like how it goes, because he's certainly not had the best track record with storylines in AEW so far, but I think this kind of character he's doing is probably his best shot at something that catches on.
And obviously it's worth saying a fair amount of that was out of Matt Hardy's control. Like, there's been a lot of stuff that's just gone wrong for him since he went to AEW. But still, anyway, let's move along with AEW and get some more reviews of what happened there. Steph, we had Cody Rhodes and Angelico, which, delivered a really good match, in my opinion. What are the stars of the show for you? Because we had Eddie Kingston talking, which is always a great thing. Dustin Rhodes had an interview there as well with Dasher, and the Acclaimed certainly got a nice big rub. What were your favourite moments of AEW if you had to break them down for us?
Well, firstly, I would say after Cody's match, we saw Team Taz come out, and then we saw Sting and his snow come out, and
his snow,
and he didn't say anything. He just pointed his bat in the direction of Team Taz, but it was interesting because Will Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs especially, was kind of being held back by the rest of Team Taz. So I thought that was pretty cool because it wasn't just one of those moments where, a guy stares at you and everyone just like backs off because he's wearing paint or something. Like Hobbs was ready to go at him and the other guy's like, no. And then you just saw him look at Darby. He was in the stands. So it's another interesting tease of what's going on between them. Like who is Sting to Darby? Is he like a little guardian angel or something that's watching over him? I'm not sure, but that was very interesting. The Acclaimed did get a good showing, and then we will be seeing them against the Young Bucks next week. So that's good.
And the Acclaimed were spitting some bars as usual.
Yeah. And Frankie Kazarian spat some bars as well.
He threw down. I don't think that's what you would even say these days, but he did. I think it's fun, though. The Acclaimed have had a great introduction to AEW for my liking.
Yeah, they have. The rapping is interesting. It's John Cena reminiscent, but it makes them stand out. And it's enjoyable. The segment I mentioned before with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, I really enjoyed. Basically, Britt poured some water on her face to wash off her face paint. Yeah. And that just popped me. I thought that was like, wow, that's a pretty good heel move. Someone should do that with Sting.
I actually did. Yeah, they really should. I actually didn't realize as well, and maybe this is my fault because for not having seen enough of her outside of in-ring action. Thunder Rosa cut a good promo.
Yeah, she did. She did.
Really did.
Mm-hmm. She said that will be good when her and Britt when this feud develops to see them go toe to toe in the mic because they can both really handle themselves.
So I'll touch on a couple of points here. Angelico and Cody Rhodes, what did you make of that?
Yeah, it is a pretty good match. Pretty good outing for Angelico. Nothing like to blow away, and I think it was a match that was sandwiched between two talking points. Cody and Brandi announcing their pregnancy and Sting pointing his bat, so it kind of just got lost a little bit in that, but it was a good match.
Matthew McCoskey, for some reason, says, everyone in the chat, if Alex sees this, can you all be honest if my catchphrase is getting annoying? Haha, I'll stop if you want. Of course, this is the man who says, bang brains. I'll let everyone have their say of that in the chat. For my money, Matthew, you've come up with your own catchphrase. That's more than most people can say. So do you, man. Do you. Sticking with AEW, let's talk Inner Circle, right? I see the backstage promo where MJF really smartly kind of points out all of the obvious things where people they all say you're washed up, Chris, and then I'm going to double all of that great stuff. And then Jericho's like, Jericho's actions within that promo were really telling because he actually didn't do much, which is very unusual for Jericho. He was very reserved and kind of like, and like you could tell he's more drinking in what's happening rather than reacting. So I thought that was very good. And then, lead us into what you thought of that promo and the eventual match.
Yeah, that was interesting. Jericho, he did just stand there like, it's like he knows that MJF's kind of on his last chance as far as Sammy goes, but he doesn't want to be the one to like start the argument that leads to MJF being removed. You know, he wants to like keep his group together, so he's kind of biting his tongue a bit, but it will probably get too much for him pretty soon. As far as the match goes, I thought this was one of the best worked like multi-man matches that I'd seen in a while, because usually these things can be a bit of a wild cluster, and I thought it was really good, especially it opened with Jericho and Brian Pillman Jr., which I just thought was a really interesting pairing. I was just watching this going, well, you know that Jericho asked to work with Brian Pillman Jr. Like, it was just so cool to see them work together, and that got like quite a bit of time. It wasn't as fast tags, especially in the early stages, that I would have thought. Obviously, we're missing Wardlow and Brandon Cutler, but like all in all, it was really good. There was some great guys in there, great spots. It got a bit out of hand at the end, and then MJF, who did nothing, got the pinfall after Jake Hager used Wardlow's move. So I don't know if Jake Hager is trying to maybe not impress MJF, but make MJF think better of him than Wardlow to kind of continue their feud without the staring.
What do we make of Eddie Kingston and the direction there? Because Death Triangle seems to have been in his crosshairs.
Yeah. That was interesting. It was interesting to see Archer come out as well and kind of align himself there. But Eddie cut a really good promo where he called out his enemies, and the first one was God. I'm not even talking about the New Japan Tag Team. So that was a moment of, did he just call out God as one of his enemies?
Yeah. WWE 2007-ish, Vince McMahon style. It's interesting though, like you said, the Archer and Pac dynamic. Who's going to get Kingston first kind of deal. Do you think Pac and Archer are destined to face off? And if so, I have every belief that Archer can work a great match with a much smaller man as agile and as amazing as Pac is.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good opponent for Pac to kind of show the great things that Pac can do. So yeah, I think it would be nice to see Archer get a proper direction, because he never really seems to have one. He always seems to be kind of like the odd man out or slotted in something, or I don't think he's really found his true direction in AEW yet, but this could be what he needs.
Yeah, I mean, there was obviously a lot of speculation. People were like, is Pac like gone back home, or because they hadn't seen him or whatever. So it was very cool that yeah, exactly. It was very cool that he came out and I want to say pop, but obviously relative pop in this era.
But he got his big moment at the end.
At the end. Do you think? And this is an interesting topic: babyface or heel Pac?
He's so like cool and sinister in those promo videos that you say heel. But then when he cut that promo to Kenny and Dawn at the end of Dynamite, like, this guy he's a really good promo, and that could be babyface as well. So I think he can do either, but he's going to do either of them with a kind of a cool edge to it of not really caring what you think of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we mentioned earlier, the Acclaimed got a great rub by beating SCU, and now they're going to be facing the Young Bucks next week. That the tag division just keeps growing on AEW. And in the main event, well, actually, before I skip over that, we did have the women. Since we're talking about tag teams here, Big Swole and Serena Deeb, Diamante and Ivelisse, and it would be Deeb and Swole that got the victory there. The baby, quote unquote, baby faces. It was cool though that they had kind of time and to do the match, but
it was not the most exciting match or anything, but it got 4 women wrestling on Dynamite, so that's good. And then at the end we had Nyla Rose and Vicky doing an attack, which looked kind of weird when Vicky was getting the boots in, but anyway. yeah, it's progression at least.
Tempest says, Alex, you have to sit Louis down and have a chat with him about his poor opinion on Cody versus Dustin. Your son disappoints us. Tempest, first of all, congratulations on retaining your Quizlemania title and seeing out the year as champion. Secondly, I have tried. I don't know if you've been watching this show where I have, but my God, me and everyone else in the comments has tried to make Louis see that his opinion on that match is horrendous. How he can't see the value in that and why it's so great and emotionally charged. It says more about him than anything else. Isn't that right, Steph? You can't. How can you not see great things in Cody and Dustin?
He needs to watch that match again and watch it like with his, mind kind of totally tuned in of the story of these two brothers having this amazing blood feud match and then all the emotion and come on, Larry.
If you can't feel that and then watch that match and say it's objectively great, then my perception of how you view wrestling, I don't know if I can take you seriously. Like,
I'm not sure Larry likes wrestling though.
Not that much. Yeah, we've tried, Tempest. That's the bottom line there for that little guy. And speaking of disappointing, he disappoints me as well. Although I will tell you, his Quizlemania performance I'm talking about here, he actually blames it on the team round, Tempest. So I don't know if you want to shed some more light to that in the comments, but Louis was kind of like absolving himself of blame and he would have won were it not for being dragged down by his teammates, he said. Just saying what the kid said. There you have it. Let's talk about the main event. Kenny Omega, right? Joey Janela. The Kenny Omega has got so much fanfare at the moment and so much attention. And
on his entrance alone.
Yeah, exactly that. And the thing is, when I saw Janela, I was excited because obviously they had that kind of what I would call a quote-unquote AEW Dark Classic. It's probably the most memorable Dark match there's ever been. And once again, it was good. But as you've already alluded to it, Steph, Death Triangle and the Bastard, they had some things to say, which kind of took me in an unexpected direction. I did not expect them to be in the mix with Omega at this point.
Yeah, it's funny because obviously Omega basically screwed Moxley out of the championship, but instead of going to a Moxley rematch or anything, it's like all like the ghost of Kenny's tournament past is like coming back to get him because like first he has to face Joey Janela and now Rey Fenix. So it's an interesting way of like giving him good matches to kind of stall him until he gets back to Moxley. But this was a good Dynamite match. I found it slightly confusing that they gave Janela so much against Omega. And I kind of wish that like to maybe explain why Joey Janela would be able to get so much offense in against Omega. I wish they kind of talked up like that he had this amazing crazy match on Saturday night at Triple Mania, which he did, like absolute match of the year candidate on Saturday night. And now, he was in there with Janela, so maybe he was a bit broken or something from the weekend. But but the match with Rey Fenix, that's going to be good. And I just like these kind of I don't know, it's as if all the guys are thinking of ways that they can like get to Kenny and try and like knock him down and just bringing up these little things. So God knows what they'll bring up next about him, but that was good. And Pac cut a really good promo, and Don Callis was fantastic throughout the match doing commentary, like just live, not on a headset, just on the mic for everyone. And then Kenny was also doing commentary while beating up Joey Janela.
Yeah, I mean, no complaints from me. I liked it, and I liked the direct. I'm not going to complain at Pac and Omega crossing paths at all. And certainly the Death Triangle Collective, because all of them are incredibly talented. So you'd be mental to have a problem with that. Tempest says here, wrestling, looking forward to it, my friend. This is true. He calling out Tempest for Quizlemania next year. Need an All Wrestling Daily episode of Quizlemania. Alex versus Steph versus SB3 versus me for the title. Book it, Vince. I'd be down. I'm just saying, I'll be damned. I do fear/respect Tempest's knowledge. I need some rounds in my favour, but there you go. I agree. What are you saying, Steph?
I would do it for sure, but can we insert like a Jerichoholic round or something?
Yeah. Let's give you something. No doubt about it. Let's tie a bow on Dynamite. What did you think of the show overall? Because it's very hard to live up to the previous few weeks that they've had. To me, it just felt like one that kind of kept the wheel moving. Yeah,
absolutely. It was not a newsworthy show, a headline-grabbing show, though, they made headlines on Impact this week, I guess, by making a match. So it was a show where everything moved on to something. Like everything had its purpose. We've set up some good matches to end off the year on. So it's one of those shows that if you tuned in last week for all the exciting, crazy stuff, you'll hopefully stick around to say, well, this is just a solid show that we can expect at least this good a show every week.
Let's talk NXT because, you've heard Steph and I say before that Dynamite has had the best show, but perhaps NXT had the best match of the week. We've said that a couple of times, and that argument could be made once again with Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm tearing it up, putting a good match in the main event. You also had a bit of a breakout performance, Tommaso Ciampa being the gatekeeper kind of that he is with Tyler Rust. Is he with Malcolm Bivens? I don't know. A breakout performance for Tyler Rust, though, in NXT. It's in a week of action, those were the ones that really stood out. But the number one match, of course, was Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne. I've said it a million times. Those two can't fail but have amazing matches. If they were going out of their way to be crap, they wouldn't be able to. They are so good together. And I think, Steph, I have to say it was the best match of the week again.
Best match of the week?
Well, as in the night, sorry.
Oh, night.
Not. I wouldn't put it above Kenny in AAA. I'm just saying last night, I think it was the best match.
Okay, I might give you it was the best match of last night.
Yeah. I mean, there's no shame in arguing for Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne. Them two. I'm surprised, to be honest, that Pete Dunne took the loss because since he's come back, they've rejected him very strongly, and we've already had O'Reilly and Balor, but I don't have a problem with it. It's pretty much going back to what I just said about Pac and Omega. I'd be stupid to be like, oh, O'Reilly and Balor? Like, come on. It's going to be great, isn't it?
I wonder if Dunne and Balor maybe doesn't make sense because Dunne is in this group with Pat McAfee. And then if Dunne took the title, it might be kind of weird with Pat kind of being the leader.
Could have triple threated it.
Mm-hmm. But maybe there's something else in store for Pete. But Kyle O'Reilly and Balor, they do have the very recent history that they can play off. So that does make sense for Balor to come back and face someone, the person that helped get him on the shelf.
I'd actually very much like to see Kyle O'Reilly as champion. Not only for the dynamic of would it make Adam Cole jealous? How would that dynamic work with him being the man in NXT and Undisputed Era? I'm not saying I want an Undisputed Era breakup because I don't, but I just think it would be interesting TV. You could have Cole versus O'Reilly, which for anyone who has seen, they wrestled together and with Wrestle Kingdom, I believe, and Ring of Honor and all that stuff. So, guys, that's something that we would want on a WWE platform. And, they don't have to do that splitting up to do it. They could come together. I just think there's a lot of possibilities outside of Karrion Kross. Do you know what I mean? I'm not hating on Karrion Kross, but it just feels like the whole thing is geared towards Karrion Kross will come back and take it when he wants it. And I don't really want that.
No, I don't want that either. And I think when it comes to the Undisputed Era, with them being in NXT for so long, and it seems like this might be eternal, that really the next kind of logical step is to give the belt to one of them that's not Adam Cole, and Kyle O'Reilly does deserve it. But Karrion Kross,
I just don't feel it, Steph. I don't.
To me, it's like a bad pantomime that...
where's that fan? Where is it?
Karrion Kross, pantomime villain. Oh no, he isn't. Oh yes, he is.
I was just about to make that joke. You beat me to it. No, yeah, it's just one of them. Like, it's not. There's nothing wrong with Karrion Kross. Like, if objectively speaking, he's a fine worker and all things like that. It's just, I just don't buy he could destroy any one character. I don't know what it is. And I like Scarlett. Like, I feel like her charisma is palpable, cool. But it's just, do I buy Karrion Kross running through some of these great performers on NXT? No, I don't. I just don't.
No, because Karrion Kross is a big guy, but he's not big enough.
He's not Lesnar big, is he? Like,
no, and he's not big enough in the wrestling sense to be someone like a Lesnar that can just destroy someone, or God, even like a Great Khali is so big that you'd be by that he squashes someone. But it's like Karrion Kross. I'm like.
Okay, I've had terrible memories of the Great Khali and his awful footwork, but please continue.
Karrion Kross, I'm kind of like, okay, but what are you bringing to the table that's better than a highly skilled fighter like Kyle O'Reilly, for example, or Pete Dunne, or anyone?
Even a Roddy Strong. I would watch that. I would watch. He could break backs for days. I would love that.
And I think now. Modern fans, we kind of know that it's not the biggest guy that wins a fight. We know that from UFC and like how much skill actually means.
Yeah,
which makes kind of people like Karrion Kross like more ridiculous. He just doesn't have anything to him that makes me think that, oh gosh, this guy's unbeatable. It's more like what? Yeah.
A lot of people, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are saying in the comments that maybe he's more of a main roster talent.
Well, did I say last week that NXT went downhill once Karrion Kross came in because it made it main roster silliness?
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, the thing is as well, if you take him up to the main roster, there's a lot of big superstars. And what, you're expecting him to run through the Strowmans, the McIntyres? Like, I think he'll hit a wall very quickly with the current character that he has. I do like his entrance, but I feel like for a brand like NXT, Steph just made the point perfectly. It's about, especially in those main event slots. We're talking Gargano, Ciampa, Cole, like all of in the last few years. You have to be like, it's about supreme wrestling almost. Yeah. Like, that's what it is to be the NXT champion. I'm not buying the gimmick where it's just this guy steamrolling people and he's not having classic matches. Am I saying that too early because he hasn't had that much of a chance because of the injury? Maybe, but that's just how I perceive it right now.
But it's even the presentation that they're giving him does not fit NXT or what made NXT great.
Well, books setting on fire and stuff.
Yeah, but you have to, cast your mind back to the glory days of NXT and how it was just like, whoa, this is just straightforward wrestling and good storytelling done by WWE. We can't believe it. And this is why I said last week that Karrion Kross to me represents the real downturn in NXT. Just bringing in someone like that with all these guys that are so great, such great workers, and then this guy comes in with an entrance. He may have some sort of magic and he puts books on fire and now he's going to run through everyone. It's not great. Like, even I feel like I misjudged Damian Priest a little bit when he came in, and he's really adapted himself well to NXT much more than Karrion Kross.
That's a very, very good point, I think, because I'm someone who complained the same for Damian Priest, but then on kind of consecutive takeovers, I've been like, actually, wow, very good matches, and then he's grown on me exponentially since then. Just talking about NXT, like I said, Tyler Rust had a really good, solid outing against Ciampa. Ciampa picked up the victory, but he kind of made Rust a credible person in the process. You have to say that Ciampa is probably in that spot right now, but it's great that they could use that and make someone. And I really feel like they did a good job with that with Tyler Rust. Very interested to see where it goes for him moving forward. And, speaking of making people, they've tried to make Leon Ruff recently. He took the pin in the tag with Kushida and The Way yesterday. If it leads to Kushida beating Gargano for the title, whatever, like, fine. I would have liked Kushida to have win.
Yeah, me too. I want more for Kushida.
Yes, I think Kushida is someone who NXT have underused for so long, and he really is like an ace in the hole that he could thrive on any promotion anywhere. I honestly believe that. Let's talk about, before we quickly move on, I'm not going to talk about Desmond Troy and Karrion Kross. Let's talk about Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley. These two, of course, Steph, that you and I will know very well, have great chemistry and history here in NXT UK. I remember when Rhea Ripley became the first champion, I was convinced it was going to be Toni Storm. And it was Rhea Ripley who actually became the first NXT UK champion. Ripley loses again. Of course, Raquel Gonzalez plays her part here, and we think that's going to be, something that they're leading towards. But Ripley losing again, Steph. Do you think it's okay if it's part of a wider story, or is it just kind of like, oh, no?
I think that we've all realized that this wider Rhea Ripley story that was going to play out, no. The answer is always no. What a way to end 2020 for Rhea Ripley. She's someone that the main roster didn't even have a chance to mess her up. They managed to do it in NXT. That's a bit of main roster meddling, but hopefully she can reset herself in 2021. Honestly, what I would do is just put her in the Rumble and get her in the main roster and trying to raise this whole thing and get her to kind of reinvent herself to the character she was before the Charlotte thing happened. Give
her a Kane 2001 run in the Rumble. Like, let her just boot loads of people out. Like, she's bigger than most women anyway. You could believe it. Let her have a solid run and then rebuild her. She's so young. She's like 24. The talent is there. It's incredible. Like, it's hard to screw it up, but they are.
And then she's 24, and you have to just hope that this experience that she's had this year hasn't, made her doubt herself or had any negative effect on her, because it must have all been hard for her, even just like the world events, when they really built her up before we knew what was going to happen with Mania, to her, I can't believe I'm going to have this big moment, and then she didn't even have the moment in the right way. And it's just been a terrible year for Rhea Ripley, but hopefully she bounces back next year.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, Toni Storm is enormously talented, and I've felt like she's a megastar waiting to happen for WWE. She, again, any promotion you put her in, she will be a massive star. Her work in the ring is kind of undeniable, in my opinion. So I guess she's moving in the right direction. Her versus Io Shirai is exciting to me on paper. So, NXT have still got great matches in their back pocket. It just feels like they're tripping over themselves a lot lately. But as we said, they still have the quality, and that's shown this week with some of the matches that they had, be it the women and Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly. So just have to keep... Yeah, they just need to find their spark again bad. They really do. And I hope around Royal Rumble season we'll find it. Let's get to the Ultra Chats that we haven't touched on tonight. And it is Kunal3641. Hi. Just a hypothetical question. How successful do you both think AEW would have been if there was no pandemic and NXT were not up against them? The most basic metric I can think of is ratings. I still think whatever they're doing, they're putting out is great. I think what they've put out thus far would have been even better with fans in attendance. In fact, it probably would have been easier for them because they had to rearrange a lot of their booking at one point. I know Tony Khan booked the TNT title tournament like on the fly, basically. So I think, I've got total trust in what Tony Khan is doing, and I think that what they've managed to do this year, they are by far the best show there's been on TV this year, weekly wrestling show. SmackDown, only what they've done the past few months. I would have SmackDown and Dynamite like that, but Dynamite's been doing it the whole year and SmackDown hasn't. Yeah, Steph wouldn't, but there you go. So I think it's great what they're doing. And as far as the pandemic goes, I think they've navigated it about as well, if not better than anybody. And it's telling that WWE followed their suit in many ways with how they took the shows. They had people at ringside all of a sudden and stuff like that. AEW were the first people to kind of get some fans back in. I think they've navigated it the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if the pandemic hadn't happened, AEW would be crushing the ratings even more. We'd be breaking that 1 million. Absolutely. And if NXT didn't exist on the Wednesday night, it'd be the same story. I think we'd be looking more towards what is AEW doing in comparison to Raw than in comparison to NXT.
And NXT would be doing better. We've seen that. The stats prove that. Or when they've been on different nights, NXT have a higher number, and it doesn't really adversely affect AEW. So the only difference would be, AEW still doing what they're doing, but NXT would be better off. That's pretty much the oning thing I can take away from that.
And maybe their booking would be better too.
Well, maybe. Yeah. Don't hold that breath of yours, Steph. Bo Hill, how you doing, brother? Good show last night. Love what they're doing with Darby right now. Interested to see what they do with him and Sting and where they go with him and Team Taz. Well, let Steph put her booking hat on. What do you think is the direction, Steph?
Oh, it's really hard because I feel like Sting, I'm really not sure why he's here, and this is why I'm intrigued to watch and what his relationship is with Darby, because it can't just be that Sting saw Darby on TV and was like, oh, he wears face paint too, I'll turn up and so it feels like they have some sort of unexplored connection where maybe Sting's trying to look out for him, but then that leaves Cody stuck in the middle because he kind of seems like, I don't know, it would be funny if Sting just turned up at the end of all Cody's matches and Cody was like, oh my gosh, he's here for me. No, he's not here for you.
He's not.
He's not. And then I love the Team Taz dynamic against Darby and Cody, and then throwing Sting in is kind of great. Like, imagine Sting and Taz going at it on the mic. It'd be very, very interesting.
And the thing with it, I don't know, like, I guess the Teddy Long in me is like, oh, maybe this leads to like a 6-man, and maybe, and if that is the way you're going to bring Sting back, it's not the worst way. You know what I mean? It kind of protects him having him in a multi-man match like that. Yeah,
but I also, there's a little part of me that just maybe doesn't trust it, that maybe thinks whose side is he on?
Mm-hmm.
That has me wondering what his true purpose is. But if they're going to do a couple more weeks of Sting pointing a bat and Darby sitting in the stands, I will be so into that. And thinking more and more and more while Cody is in the ring like, what? Like, what's going on?
It works for me. Mike Jensen has come up with another super chat, and he says, hope you're all well. I am, Mike, personally. Steph, are you?
I am, yes, thank you.
Great. For TLC, I would love to see an Oscar Shayna swerve. Oscar's mystery partner is there the whole time. She tags in Shayna, and they beat down Nia. Mike, let me tell you something. I love that idea.
I love that too.
I love that idea. Just beat the crap out of Nia, the pair of them. Yeah, man, I'd be down for that. Also, Oscar and Shayna teaming together sounds badass as anything. And then you could have them split and face each other. It'd be great. That's a great idea, Mike Jensen. Get on creative. Go on.
That's a really good idea. Shayna is my favorite WWE women's wrestler, and I always want more for her. And when I said I wanted more for her, it wasn't that I wanted her to team with Nia Jax. So now I'm in the position where I kind of always want them to win, but it's because I like Shayna. Not Nia at all. So that would be that would be such a great swerve. If not, though, I hope Asuka's partner's Io Shirai.
I can tell you that it's not Mike Jensen's chat, as much as I would love that to happen. I have told SB3 what I have been told is going to happen. So maybe we'll see if it comes to fruition next week, but it is going to be exciting nonetheless. Let's move along to Maddie, the hot Scot. Hey, Alex, nice hair. Come on now. Come on, brother. Look at it. Look at that, Steph.
You look very emo now.
Down and out. No, I was meant to get it cut today, and I fell asleep. That's literally what happened. So it's going to have to wait till tomorrow at some point now. My God, it's so long. Get in there. So I'm just going to finish the show like this. This terrible man. Why not? Yeah, my hair is all over the gaff right now. Anyway, hi, hey Steph as well. Hope you had a good day, Steph. Well done on the Vincent Kennedy McMahon impression. Yes, I think we all agree that Steph was the champion there. Here's a completely random question. What is your Mount Rushmore of WWE returns? For me, it's Edge, Lesnar 2012, Rock 2011, any Undertaker, there's a lot of those, and the Hardys. I mean, first of all, Matt, you've got 5. The Mount Rushmore, to the best of my knowledge, is 4. Yes. I mean, you've picked great ones. I've said this before. I was there for both the Hardy Boys and for Edge, and they are up there with literally my favourite ever moments having watched wrestling. Rock in 2011. Steph's not going to be shocked to learn that I liked it. I mean, the returns is a hard one because, like, even when The Rock returns to help Mick Foley against Evolution, that is one of my favourite ones. But I think you're missing Triple H at Madison Square Garden in 2002. That has to be up there. The pop is unbelievable. Edge, Hardys, Triple H, and The Rock are the first 4 that come to mind, I think. I don't know. Steph, you got any others?
The Undertaker one, I'd say, was when he finally ditched American Badass and came back Dead Man Undertaker. Be my favorite. Jericho in 2007, when he came back to save us again. That's another good one. And Sting returning on Dynamite a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no, to be fair, the Sting one is great. I actually, again, one of the only things WWE did right with Sting was the reveal against Rollins when, like, they pulled up the thing on Raw and he was just standing there and everyone was like, shit, that's actually Sting. Yeah, there's been some great ones. There really has. Good question. I like that. Very good stuff, May. Kunal3641 is back and he says, after your son Louis lost last night. I don't know why. Like, Lou would be lucky to have my genes, by the way. Let's not say the apple from the tree and all that malarkey. I think his punishment should be to do a live stream of Monday Night Raw for 6 months. Can't think of anything worse than that, but he has to learn. Canal, you're not wrong. That is a pretty hefty punishment.
That's so harsh.
I think you'd prefer hard labour in North Korea than that. Wow. No, Louis is... in fairness to Louis, the one time we were on Quizlemania together, he did score higher than I. So I can't actually really have a go at him too much. But he definitely cost us when we were tag teaming it. He definitely did. So yeah, I think Louis, I don't know about punishments. He's a young lad. You need to nurture these prodigies. All right, you need to help them grow. That's my method of parenting. I think parenting Louis is still a weird concept to me, but nonetheless, let's get to a video of a hot take that we have received this week to wind down the show, and it's from Timothy.
G'day, Alex and everyone at Wrestling Daily. Got a hot take for you, coming all the way from Melbourne, Australia. Loving your work, guys. Keep up the good work. It's an amazing show. I've got a hot take for you, and it's a little bit spicy. I think that Shinsuke Nakamura's first match on NXT with Sami Zayn is overrated, and the reason for that is because if you take the crowd out of the scenario, it's no longer seen as one of the best NXT matches of all time. I think if you put that match in a empty arena stadium at the start of COVID, it doesn't hold up like it does today. It's a good match, but I don't think it's as great as everyone says it is because of the crowd. Thanks.
Timothy, let me tell you, you started off great. You started off great, Tim. I was like, well, we got a fan in Australia. Awesome. He likes the show. Awesome. And then you spat straight blasphemy. How can you say such a thing? That is a great match, in my opinion. It's the best match Shinsuke Nakamura's had in WWE, by the way. And I would argue one of Sami Zayn's best. since entering WWE. I actually really loved the ladder match, but I thought it was amazing. The electricity of the atmosphere definitely played a part, but the action and the story being told, the presentation of Nakamura, the buzz for him after that match, absolutely the match did its job. I am a total 180 against that opinion, Steph. I don't know about you.
I don't feel as strongly as you do. I think that Timothy is thinking about matches differently now, like we all are in COVID, because we are seeing wrestling without a crowd. And that match, a lot of it was the crowd. And it was a great match in the ring too.
But you have to,
I think when you're judging matches, you do add in the crowd and the atmosphere and everything as well, and you have to see how to gauge it. And I could see someone not thinking that is as great a just straightforward wrestling match. Like it's not like Walter Ilya, level of stripped down wrestling match with no fans. So I can definitely see where he's coming from. And also, I think I'm maybe just a little bit salty on it because how it was Shinsuke's greatest night in WWE, and it was his first night ever, and everything went to hell after that. So as much as you were saying it did the job of getting interest in Shinsuke and everything, I honestly think the job it was intended to do was to let all the people that watched Shinsuke in New Japan have one night of going, oh my gosh, Shinsuke Nakamura's in WWE, this is amazing, until they were then thoroughly disappointed for the next couple of years.
No, I can't. Steph, it's rare, but I can't agree on this one. I don't think the barometer of a great match is how it would have done without fans now. Do you know what I mean? I'm
not saying it is, but I do see where he's coming from, that if you strip that back, it might not be as good.
But another argument to that is, why are the crowds so hot? The performers have to play their role in keeping the crowd hot. Do you know what I mean? We've all been in wrestling crowds. So you're not gonna. You can't just go wild for no reason. To me, I felt like the action was cool. It was a great showcase of both men's Arsenal, and it was one of the best pure. I've got to say pure wrestling. And then I just realised there's a lot of pure great wrestling matches in NXT history. But to me, it is one of the best main events that I've seen on the takeover. I would stand by that. For me, my personal investment in it, and I wasn't someone who had seen loads of Nakamura. I'm not a massive New Japan guy, apart from the massive events. I'd seen him wrestle before, but to me, that was my favourite Nakamura match thus far. And I was like, wow, I'm so excited for the possibilities. Admittedly, I also have, I do have what you just said, where I'm like, that didn't work out. But at the time, I think, again, if we're going to isolate it the way he wants to isolate it, I still think it's a great match. I just think if you just watch it from start to finish now, and you don't try too hard to think about why it might not be great. What? Imagine there wasn't a crowd, or imagine Sami Zayn didn't have two arms. Whatever. I think if you just watch it for what it is, it's good. It's very good.
Yeah. No, it's a very good match. I get it a little bit to Timothy there.
I've seen people say in the comments, Steph, that now Timothy is rivaling you for the best accent. I just wonder, do you have an Australian accent, Steph?
In my impression list? No,
yeah.
I do not have a...
It's not one of my strong suits either. G'day, mate.
G'day, mate.
Yeah. Mine just turned into good day, mate. Basically.
Now I feel bad, Timothy. Feel free to send in your Irish accent impression or your English accent impression of us.
Although, what I will say for Timothy, he's right. We asked for hot takes, and it was hot. He delivered. It was a very good one. It was very good, Tim. Thank you very much. And that is we're going to tie a bow on this week's Wrestling Daily with Steph Chase. We've got through the Ultra Chats that you guys have been so kind to send to us. And of course, speaking of kind, Steph Chase has been just as kind with her time, running down the Wednesday Night Wars, giving us all those great hot takes that she always does. Steph, you mentioned it earlier at the top of the show. You've been a busy girl this week. Tell the people what's coming up and where they can find it.
Yeah, I released my interview with Eric Bischoff a couple of days ago. It's up on my YouTube channel. It's 45 minutes long, where we cover everything, including his thoughts on more recent things like AEW and Impact and Sting. Young Bucks interview will be coming out next week. And in just under 90 minutes. I'm going to go live on my YouTube channel and talk even more about AEW. And I might even tell the story of what happened to me last night.
That's a reason to tune in. Until then, Sammy Callahan here says, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Wrestling Daily. And I will see you tomorrow with, what day is it tomorrow? Friday? Louis Dangoor at 8 p.m. It is worth noting, what's our schedule next week? Steph will not be on Thursday because, of course, that's Christmas Eve. Yes. She'll be here on Wednesday. SB3 moves forward to Tuesday, and Louis will do the post show on Monday for TLC. So you'll get all 3 co-hosts next week. We've got 3 shows. It's going to be the same the week after, but having all of the different hosts on the 30th being the Wednesday. So there you go, guys. You've got a bit of everything till then. But until then, thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.